Hey guys, Conan DeWalt's on a stagnant afternoon. Hope you're having a good day. I just wanted to say thank you to my 6 subscribers. I know 2 of you are, but I don't know who the other 4 of you are. I just want to say I really appreciate it. And a huge shout out to Kevin. We were wondering when. So that's very good. Okay, so what we're looking at today is we're starting to make the cradles for the fuel tank for Thunder Truck 3. Now I just wanted to start out, I showed you the materials once before. I think it was on the fuel flow video. And so I got these, it was one piece of lumber that I cut in half. But you can see how badly eaten it is by termites. So it's no good for structural stuff anymore. Like you wouldn't want to put a load on this or anything like that, but it'll work out perfect for cradling a fuel tank. You can see I've trimmed the end off. And so I'll show you step by step as I go. So what I'll do is then, you can see this side here is slightly better. So what I'm going to do is I'll section this side out, and then that'll be the cradle. So that'll get rid of a lot of this crap right here. And so I'll start by making up the cradles, getting them all cut, and then any gaps or holes that are left like that, I'm going to fill up with goop. The same goop that I used for a lot of different stuff, boat goop. You can sand it and paint it, so it's really good stuff. So that's the worst piece. But I got to start on the other cradle. But you're understanding how this is going to work, right? The fuel tank is round. The fuel tank is round. And the tank is going to sit across the deck plate, across the frame. So one of these will be sitting on each side of the frame. And then your fuel tank will go in here like this with some rubber mud flap in between that I'll cut to fit. But I figured out a way to, you can see I've already started and it's coming along nicely. And so I'm going to show you how I'm doing that. And so I'm just using my handsaw. So it takes time, you know. But the good thing about hand tools is they're more precise. Like you can, because things aren't moving so quickly, you know, it's like with band saws, jigsaws, and all that, it can get away from you and basically ruin your material. And I'm not, you see all the pieces I got going on here, came out of here. So I don't have unlimited materials. I'm just using scrap, whatever I can find. So we'll go ahead and we'll do some cuts, and I'll show you how I'm doing this to get this curved shape. A friend of mine loaned me a Sawzall, and I thought about it, and I thought, if it gets away on me, and I like accidentally go down this way a little bit, and I ruin my piece of material, then this is the only material I've got, so it's a one-shot deal, you know? I can't, it's not like I've got disposable material. If something's not quite right, I can just throw it over my shoulder and start with a new piece. It's not like that. This is, it's a one-shot deal with every piece. Okay, so we'll do some cuts. I'm going to put a respirator on because you can see that this material is composite. I hope you can see that. You see how the layers are there? So it's like plywood, it's composite. So that means that in between each piece there's some really serious glue. So I don't cut any plywood or composite wood like this without a respirator, some kind of respirator. But with something like this, you can get away with a basic one. But depending on the job, then that's the PPE I use. Like I'll use a basic respirator for this, and if I'm dealing with something more potent, I'll get the next level respirator. I've seen some people on YouTube that have done some things. One guy in particular, he was making a video, just a real quick story. He was making a video about repainting his car hood, and he was having a good time, and he was making a good video, and that was the main thing, he was enjoying himself, younger guy, and then he showed the paint that he was going to use, and it was the really potent stuff. It was out of a can, but it was the one where you hit the button on the bottom, like you're slamming on something, and that releases the hardener up into the paint. So the hardener is really potent. And then he did his thing, and he got ready, and he put on his face mask or respirator, and all it was one of them cheap little deals that you would use for like dusting, like dusting around your house. And I was like, oh man, don't do it. And so he started, and then he started commenting. He started saying, man, this stuff is really strong smelling, And I was like, oh my Lord. And I felt bad for the guy. I mean, who knows what happened to him? I mean, that hardener is extremely potent. I mean, it might have hardened part of his lung or something like that, But anyway, you got to be careful, even with something simple like this. Alright, so I've got a basic respirator for this. So I'll put that on real quick. Now I'll do a little bit of this for you. Just to show you what I've been up to. I've been doing various other things. I've prepped a few things and this and that. See if I can get my glasses hooked under the had a lot of trouble with this yesterday when I was cutting this piece out. Alright, so what I do is I just basically I cut a section about maybe ½ inch at a time, or if you're talking metric, 12 or 13 mil. And I just take my time with it. You see what I mean? So I just accidentally knocked that out. What I'll do is I'll fill that with that goop, and it'll look fine. Now you can see the dust wafting around. You don't want to breathe any of that. Alright, I'm having trouble with my glasses. So I'll take the head off. And then I'll put my bandana on real quick. And that'll hold my glasses on in place. Just give me a minute here. The wind just blew my hat down into the dirt. Alright, let's see how we do with that. Now, like like I was saying, the good thing about hand tools is they really can't get away from you. So I'm just going to bring that down to the mark there. Right about there. Now I'll flop it on the side. And then I'll bring it back to the mark over here. Now you do want to try and keep your cuts square. They don't have to be exact. Just eyeball as square as you can. See, so I've cut down to the mark on that side, and then I've cut down to the mark on this side. And now what I do is I stand over it, and I try to follow along the curved line. So instead of trying to, this is hard to explain, but instead of trying to follow the curve exactly, I'll start a little bit above there and I'll come in on an angle, which will leave a rise right here, and then I'll show you how I trim that out. I get the main piece out of there. And I get that one close enough right there. And I flop it over to the other side. Now I bring this side in. So you might be able to see where that's all the way through now. So now I just got to bring this down some more. So if it just eyeball is square, go. What you do is you just keep taking bites out of it. And it doesn't take that long. It's not like, oh man, that'll take forever and all that kind of stuff. I did this section yesterday, this part in about, well, I don't know, I maybe messed around for 30 minutes with it. But you can see I've got a bit of a rise. I hope you can see that. Move it over a bit. You can see I've got a bit of a rise right there, through there. So what I do with that, I just use the wall of the material, and I just basically whittle it away just the way I want it, you know. And I can get as exact as I want to be. I mean, I can get fanatical and get a square and make it just perfect, or I can just eyeball it. And just get it to where I'm happy with it. So it looks like I'm good over this side. I still got a bit of a rise over here on your side. But you get the idea. See, now it's close, but there's still a bit of a rise there. So I can trim that out and get that even better, which I can. I can turn it this way. You see now this side is perfect. If I flip it around this way, make sure it's pointed at you, then I can see the back. I can see this rise better from this direction. And I can just kind of whittle that out of there. Just one. So basically you're using the blade, not the cut, but you're using the blade to kind of like file. You're kind of filing the wood down. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, he says, coming really good now. Yeah, that's pretty close. I don't think I'll argue with that. I'll give you an update. Probably what I'll do is I'll get them both sectioned out, and then before I prep them for paint, I'll do another update for you, show you how they're coming along. Then I'll group them up, get all the holes and cracks filled in, and then sand and paint, and they should come up pretty good. And they'll make perfect fuel tank cradles. Okay, guys. Adios, Cumbrogo.